Over the past 12 months or so, we've seen desktop diode lasers increase in power from 10 to 15, 20, 30, even 40 watt machines. And today's video is asking that question: is a 10 watt diode laser still relevant in 2023? Well, g'day and welcome to Mr. Craftsmith. I'm Darren, and today's video, I'm super happy to be back in the studio for a start because I've been a bit absent for the last 3 months. Our regular business has been chock-a-block full of work, and we're finally at a point where that's starting to slow down now, so I can get some more time out here, which is fantastic. And even more so for me now, because right in front of me I've got a box, hasn't been opened yet. It's been sitting here for about a week and I've just been itching at the bit to get into it. And it's the new Sculpfun S30 Pro 10 watt laser. So we're going to see what's in the box, pop it all together, see how easy it is to put together, and do a little bit of a review and have a bit of a play and see what it's all about.
Now, for the purpose of transparency, Sculpfun did reach out to me about a month ago to see if I would be interested in reviewing the S30 Pro. Now, it's a 10 watt machine, and I already have a 10 watt machine, but so I was kind of in two minds as to whether or not to go ahead. But there were a couple of features about this particular model that I was very interested in that my existing machine doesn't have, which is the integrated air assist as well as the linear rail system. I jumped on board, and there's no exchange of money or anything like that. They did send me the laser for free in exchange for me doing a review on it. So we'll say the packaging is quite good. It's a compact little package. This particular model, Sculpfun, they do actually provide some really good instructions, both in the written form in the book as well as the online video that they have on YouTube. So we've got the air assist hose. We've also got the main motherboard, and which is kind of integrated into the construction, sort of, one of the corner supports, which I thought was quite interesting because I only saw when I was getting out of the box the 3 legs, and I thought, well, where's the 4th leg? But it's actually integrated into that motherboard unit and the main sort of control unit. That's the laser module, the 10 watt module. It's a pretty neat looking sort of module. And it's got the built-in air assist as well directly into the nozzle, which is a good design, which is something a little bit different to what I'm used to with the laser that I have. This is the main gantry of the system with the linear rail. It's a good solid unit, and once we get into the assembly part of it, it really was quite easy to put all of it together. So as long as you followed the instructions and everything was well labelled. So a whole bunch of goodies in the bottom here. We've got a laser repair kit, and which is handy, I guess, if you're doing any sort of maintenance on the laser. USB cable and power cables and the like. This is all the bits and bobs, and with some tools. So you've got all the tools that you need to put it together, and they're really quite well labelled, as we'll see later. But yeah, very good, well done on the packaging, Sculpfun, for how you've actually put everything together. Now, big plus to Sculpfun for their packaging. I will say that each one of these, with all the different bits in it, labelled according to the instruction manual. So that was step 1, step 2. So they're all the components that you need for step 2 as per the instruction manual, step 3, etc., etc. So I thought that was really well thought out, and it makes the process far less intimidating for someone that may not be mechanically minded, that doesn't put things together a lot. So as long as you follow the instructions, I'm going to say you pretty much can't go wrong. So I'm not going to bore you with the full construction video. We'll speed this up and zip through it. But like I said, if you follow the instructions in both the user manual, and you could do it with the online version as well, it's really quite clear. And it comes together quite nicely. So I guess a couple of things to note that, I didn't tighten everything off straight off the bat. I just pretty much got everything together loosely, got all the nuts and bolts together, and just followed the instructions. I really like that they included the tools with the kit, and it was a pretty nice little Allen key, the T-bar Allen key, which is gives you a little bit more grip, I guess, when you're putting things together and tightening up the bolts. So that was a nice little touch to have that T-bar Allen key set there.
Rightio, so here we are. We've got it all ready set up, and we're going to do some material testing. I've already done a couple of quick burns just to get me a bit of an idea of the range at which I'm going to be sort of doing my material test, which is directly in Lightburn. Now, from a setup point of view, we'll just point out a couple of things. The USB and power are located on the right-hand side of the machine here, and along with, I guess you could, yeah, the integrated air assist is it sits alongside the right-hand side, based on the cabling as well. So theoretically, at the moment I've got the USB cable going in front of me here, which is not a great design from my perspective. So I'm probably going to have to shift things around and locate my computer or the laptop on my right hand side, just so as I haven't got cables running in front of me, which could accidentally be dragged and it could damage the actual unit. The one thing I did like about it is the fact that it does have a right angle USB, so it's less prone to getting knocked, I guess you could say. But so height adjustment is another point of contention, I guess, for me, is that you adjust the height with this little bar. Essentially, it's just a little piece of metal, which is your defined height. So you have to pop that underneath the on your material there, and then we just release the screws, thumb screws at the back, which then adjust the cable. I guess having the integrated height adjustment or height set that I have on my other laser is, in my opinion, I guess is a better setup, and for a couple of reasons really. Is it's integrated, and secondly, very easy for me to lose this, and so I need to probably replicate this or measure that and have a couple of spares ready to go in the event that I do, or not if I do, but when I lose it. All right, so I've got some backups there, but it just sits under the material there. So from that point of view, it's pretty straightforward. You do have, it's around the back, so I am sort of reaching around the back a little bit. The other adjustments, or the other laser that I've got, the thumb screw is on the side, so it's a little bit easier to tighten. So with the 2 points of contact on the back here, I guess it just stabilises the whole unit a little bit more than just relying on one thumb screw. But that thing I know is going to get lost at some point. So one of my first jobs is to replicate that, so I know exactly what height I'm working with. So we're going to we're going to turn the machine on, and this is the other thing that might, I guess from my point of view, is it's a loud little machine. Let's just turn it on and have a listen. So I've got that set to automatically home, and hopefully you're picking up that noise. That's the little fan noise within the unit itself, within the laser unit. It certainly is noisy. Sounds like I'm at the airport. But through the magic of plugins, I'll probably get rid of that noise as we start talking now, so it becomes less and less and less. So you shouldn't be able to hear this now if the plugin's working correctly on the video editing side of things. But it is a fairly noisy little unit. Let's get the material test set up in Lightburn, and we can have a look at what this machine can do from a engraving point of view, just with the material test. And we'll jump back and have a look at that one. Just before we do that one, as I might have mentioned, we've got the these markings, the millimeter markings along the X and the Y axis. I'm not really sure. So pointing where that laser is, that looks like it's around about 50 by 35. So the markings don't seem to make a lot of sense to me as to what sort of reference they have, because like where that is positioned now is the origin. It's at 0, 0, and looking at that, I've got no real sort of way of understanding what that reference point is. So kind of like a good concept, but it didn't really sort of make a whole lot of sense for me. But let's get into that material test like we mentioned, and see what this machine is capable of. So these are the supplied goggles that that come with the laser from SculptFun. They are a green color, and I'm not really too confident about using these. Sorry, SculptFun, but I'm probably going to stick with my free mascots. These are the free mascots. They've actually got their rating on the lens there, and that is an OD6 plus, I think it is for that one. So I'll pop links to those down in the description if you want to get a decent pair of laser goggles. So this is not a bad thing on SculptFun. I think most suppliers will actually be providing these very generic sort of type, basically just colored plastic. There's no indication on the lens anywhere or the packaging that it came with as to what specifications it might meet in relation to the safety aspects of that plastic or that color. But with the free mascots, they do have their rating on there, and I've seen quite a few creators on YouTube that are using this brand, the free mascot. So I figured they must be pretty decent, and I've got no complaints so far. They certainly do the job as you would expect. Okay, so for this material test, we are setting the parameters. I'm just doing a 5x5 grid, and we're going from 2000 millimeters per minute to 6000, which is the maximum. And we're running that at power variances from 10% power through to 50% power. Now, I've seen a lot of guys do material tests where they do the whole range from 10 to 100 and, from, a very slow speed to a high speed. But for the purposes of engraving, you've got to have a better understanding of what you're engraving. So, from my point of view, there's no point doing that extreme range when you know that at that higher power levels, it's just going to burn through the material. So for the purposes of the engraving on MDF, I am just using that 2000 to 6000 millimeters per minute and 10% to 50%. Because even at that higher, that 50% at that slower speed, I know it's probably going to be burning too deep for what I want to do anyway. But so that's what we're going to do. I'm just going to pop the exhaust fan on, so it collects as much of that smoke as I've got the windows and everything open. But I've also got this handy little USB fan. Let's get the fan going. So I've just got that position nice and close. So it's just going to blow that smoke back towards the exhaust fan. This is going to take about 6 minutes, I think roughly about 5 or 6 minutes to do. So we'll come back when it's finished and we'll have a look and see what the results look like. So this is the SculptFun S30 Pro 10 watt module engraving test. So looking at this one, this was a line interval of 0.08 as well. Now the proposed dot size on this laser is 0.06 by 0.08. So I thought I would go with a 0.08 line interval to start off with. And I could probably tighten that up a smidge and to get a little bit more even. But I'm getting color at every power level there from 10% through to, so at 10% from 2000 right through to 6000, there is a tiny little bit of color at 6000. Optimal, I guess, if I was doing on MDF, I could do anywhere from, up to 6000 at 30% power. So compared to the laser that I do have, that's pretty good numbers, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I guess that's as I expected at 50% power. At 2000, there's quite a bit of burning going on there, and that's probably, what would I say, it's probably about 1 millimeter deep, I guess. Now, here's the thing, and I guess you have to understand that this is just a 10 watt module. So I know that there are more powerful modules out there. There's a 20 watt and 30 watt and up to 40 watt, like Xtools does a 40 watt. And I guess you just have to be realistic about what you're actually doing with a 10 watt laser. So in my case, I know that, generally speaking, that I'm not really going to be cutting anything more than 3 mil with a 10 watt laser. It'd be nice if it did that sort of 1/4 inch, the 6 mil stuff. And I'm sure that I could do it with multiple passes. But is it being efficient, and is it actually leaving a bit more charring on the edge? So I don't have any 6 mil material to sort of do any cutting tests with, but what I am interested to see is what it actually does with 3 mil, because that's that's predominantly what I'm working with on a regular basis, is just that 3 mil sort of thickness. So we'll get that one set up. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get to it today, but we're going to do some cut tests on that one and see what that actually looks like. So through the magic of YouTube, I'm back after a couple of weeks, and I have been using the machine fairly extensively over the last couple of weeks, and well, exclusively as well. I've parked the other one just for the time being so I could have a lot more time with the Sculpt Fun. And yeah, where I left off previously, we were talking about doing some cutting tests, and definitely in as far as the 3mm stock, which is predominantly what most people who have a 10-watt laser, you know, that's pretty much going to be the limitations. But I did go out and buy some 6mm MDF to do some testing on that one, and I did run a couple of tests, and I'll just pop my eyes on so I can see. So essentially I did a 3-pass, 4-pass and 5-pass at differing speeds. So 3-pass at 300mm per minute at 100% power, and that got through the 6mm stock. I did the 4 passes at 400mm per minute, 100% power, and the final one I did was 5 passes at 600mm per minute at 100%. Now, comparing the 3 samples there, as I mentioned, there was a fair bit more charring at those slower speeds. So at 3 and 4 passes, there was significantly more charring. It's a bit difficult to show it on screen, but I might be able to take a photo and pop it up, and we can have a look. But and it's predominantly at the bottom of the stock, so that's where it's getting more heat, more concentrated heat over a period of time, because it's essentially getting those 3 passes. So there was a bit more charring on those 2 samples, but at 5 passes, 600mm per minute, you know, it's still a dark edge, but I would say that it's, you know, if you're doing smaller type projects or one-off projects that you wanted to do with 6mm stock, then yes, you could definitely get away with doing that on the 10-watt laser, running it at 100% power. And that was with MDF, so you know, it's a fairly sort of, well, medium density fibre board, so you know, it's a consistent product. So I haven't done any testing on any 6mm or quarter-inch ply stock, but you know, so those results may vary. Now, I didn't do any acrylic cutting, but I would imagine that as per my other laser, 3mm acrylic, black acrylic is going to be fine. I didn't want to go out and buy any sort of thicker material to do that testing. It just wasn't necessary because it's not something I do a lot of. But 3mm stock, you're going to be pretty right. So we did some engraving tests, and on a couple of different materials. So I've done it on wood. Now, I will say that engraving on wood is a bit of an art form, and it's not something that I've gained the skills as yet. But if we pop that up there, and if we get that on the right angle, you can see it does a pretty decent job. Okay, but it's an art form essentially, and I just don't find that. And really, this comes down to not spending the time. But I haven't spent a lot of time engraving on wood. But I think, from my perspective, because it's an organic material and the diode laser is just essentially burning that material, you can have the varying degrees of burning and just the nature that wood can catch fire. Essentially, it can spread from one dot to the next, and I think you get a little bit of bleed over as such. And yeah, I mean, there's guys that know exactly how to do it. It's just I haven't given the time to actually work it out. The other favourite for a lot of people is the slate coasters. And again, if we just pop that up, get that into the right light. There we go. I think because the nature of slate is that when that dot, the laser fires, it's basically causing a little eruption on the surface of the slate. It doesn't impact any adjoining dots, essentially, from my experience. So I just find I get better resolution when I'm engraving on slate. So that definitely is a better option from my perspective, and it's something that, you know, I would probably do more of than trying to sort of nut out the process of of working on wood. But there's guys out there that do an amazing job on that. So this is just another example here. I'll just line this up in the camera, just make sure that we're getting that one. There we go. And again on slate, this is a raster image, or it's not a vector, so it's not like a traditional sort of fill image, but it's just a raster image. And yeah, really impressive. I really like the outcome of that one there. So slate is probably my favourite medium to engrave images on, but definitely wood, if you're just doing text and vectors and things like that, you get amazing results on the wood itself. So my thoughts on performance and reliability of the SculptFun S30 Pro. It has, over the last couple of weeks, it's been giving me very consistent results with cutting. And so I've cut out quite a few projects. I've got some Christmas baubles that I'm doing up that have required a fair bit of intricate sort of cutouts, and it's been doing an amazing job on that. That's just on MDF, so I'm really happy with the performance and reliability in that regard. It's not going to be the fastest cutting machine, and you have to understand that as a diode laser, unless you're getting up into those higher powers, the 20 and 40 watt machines, it's going to cut a little bit slower. So as long as you plan accordingly, you're not going to be disappointed. So that's definitely something that I'm really quite happy with it. Compared to the laser that I've got, which is also a 10 watt machine, I've got no problems with this at all. So yeah, performance and reliability, I've got no reason to doubt it. The one area, I guess, that could be improved on the machine compared to, I'm just doing a comparison to the machine that I've got, is the safety features. So there's no real built-in safety features in as far as fire detectors, emergency stops, those sorts of things. The tilt, I don't know if it's got the tilt sensor on there as well, but whereas my other laser has those safety features. Yes, and I did pay more for that experience to have those additional safety features, but I guess that's one thing that you have to be considerate of, as if you're someone that's brand new to laser engraving, you really want to have those safety features available to you, because in a lot of cases you don't really know what you're doing. So definitely in the case of this machine, without those safety features that I'm aware of, I could be wrong, but you definitely don't want to leave the machine unattended, and normally this is in a fireproof enclosure, but I'm always here when I'm running the machine. Not that I would sort of recommend that you walk away from machines that have those safety features, but certainly there's more peace of mind if you do have those features included. But that's probably the one area that I think could be improved, and I'm sure with other models that SculptFun does have those built-in features, possibly. I haven't done the research on that just as yet, but do your own research when it comes to safety, because safety is paramount, and I've said safety far too many times, but it can never be overstated. So if we're talking about integrating with software, it doesn't come with any software, but it does work with Lightburn, which is quite possibly the most used piece of software when it comes to laser engraving. So it does integrate with that. The one problem I did have is it didn't find my machine automatically. I did have to go through manually and set this up as a gerbil laser engraver. Once I'd set it up, it worked quite fine. I just needed to set the work area. So the other thing that was a little bit off with the machine is they have an advertised workspace or workbed of, I think it's 410 by 400 millimeters. I'll pop the details up on the screen there. But when I did some testing to see if that was actually the case, I did run into the limit switches, and started the machine started clunking, which indicates that it's beyond its capacity. So once I did some further testing on that, I was able to establish a work bed of 370 by 370, and that was a safe working bed that I could engrave. So it's a little bit smaller than what they've advertised, but in essence, it hasn't really impacted me with the types of jobs that I'm running on this machine. So one of the other little bugbears that I had with the device, and I'll shift the camera around so we can see it, but it was adjusting the height of the actual laser unit. So let me just adjust the camera and we'll take a closer look at that. Okay, so when you're adjusting the height of the laser, you've got these two little knobs around the back that you have to loosen off, and that's how you can adjust that. Adjust the height of the laser for what it's actually engraving. But I've got fairly big fingers, and the knobs on these are quite small. So as a suggestion, if they want to maintain this design, if they made bigger knurled knobs on the back that were actually easier to grip, then that would certainly improve the design. Because what I find is when I've got the cover on this as well, it's quite difficult to access that. So, you know, I can't spread my wings out like this to get some real estate. It's difficult for me to reach around. So that was just one little thing. So if you made those knobs just a little bit bigger, you certainly got the real estate for that. It's twofold. It'll give you a little bit more real estate on the grip anyway, but it will make it easier for guys with bigger fingers to actually grip onto those little knurled knobs. So I have been performing some routine maintenance on this, like after a full day of cutting. I have pulled the unit apart, the laser unit apart, to clean the lenses, and there was some very minimal clouding on the safety lens, and it was a nice easy clean, easy to pull apart and do that maintenance. And I just use a cotton tip with now as a photographer, I have these little lint-free lens tissues, which is designed to clean camera lenses, which are quite sensitive. So I just pull off a little bit of that, wrap it around the cotton tip, and use 100% isopropyl alcohol, a little bit of a gentle wipe. You don't need to be scrubbing these lenses. And the fact that they have a replacement lens, protective lens, in the laser repair kit that comes with the laser is a fantastic idea, and that's something that I wish was included in the other machine that I have. So just in summary, there's lots to like about the machine as far as the value that this represents for the entry point. It's a $500 machine, US dollars. So to have the linear rail is a nice touch. Have the integrated air assist that works directly in Lightburn is really good. Definitely there's lots of positive about it. Aesthetically, it just looks like a basic hobby machine, and you know, there's not too much more that you can do as far as dressing that for aesthetics. Perhaps some more protective covers, again with the limit switches. If there's a possibility to include some sort of cover over that, I think I would feel a little bit more comfortable that I'm not going to knock it and damage those limit switches. Cable management is always one of those things that is a bone of contention for a lot of these manufacturers. So there are some aspects of cable management that I think could be improved. They do include you know, wraps and things like that for cable management, but it's just one of those things that you know, with other machines you might see drag chains and things like that that just tightens that process up a lot. But for the size of this machine and what it actually does, I haven't really got any major complaints around that. Cables can be managed. It's just using some logical thought to work out how you can manage those better. So who is this laser really for? I've probably alluded to it throughout the video, but it really is an entry-level machine around that $500 price point. So, you know, for that you're getting a nice machine, you're getting a couple of nice little upgrades to that machine, but ultimately I guess this is really designed for someone that is just getting started in that laser engraving realm, but it's not really designed for someone that's going to be doing large volumes of cutting. If you're wanting to do that and it's something that you're looking as more of a side hustle, then there might be some better options out there for you. Something with a bigger bed, something with a higher powered laser. so that you can actually speed up that process, that production process. But if this is just something that you're getting started in and you're doing it for a hobby and you're going to make the odd project here and there, and maybe a few gifts for the family and the like, if I had my time again, given the information and knowing what I know now, this is probably a machine I would have purchased over the machine that I have. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, dot size. So if you're going to be doing engraving and things like that, dot size, the uniformity of that dot size is probably key. So even though the laser that I do have has an advertised smaller dot size, it's actually shaped like a grain of rice, whereas this is more rectangular in its shape. So I just feel it gives me a more consistent end product as far as engraving goes, and particularly if you're just doing image engraving and things like that. So that's one factor. The other thing that really sort of, I was attracted to and why I took up this offer to start with was the use of the integrated air assist. And being able to control that directly in Lightburn on my layers, it just means that I don't forget about turning on the air when I'm doing cutting. So, that was just a nice little feature as well. So all in all, really happy with the machine. I'd love to get your feedback if there's some things that you want me to try on this machine that I haven't shown in the video, and there's probably going to be a lot of that, but pop those comments down below, because I'd like to keep you up to date with the performance on the machine over the next few months and how it actually works. I have the potential for a fairly big order coming in for 500 coasters, so this will be under the pump to be part of the production machine for that. So we'll keep you posted on how all that goes. So if you're still watching, well done to you, first of all. I know I can waffle on a bit, but I think it's important that you get some real world perspectives from people that are using these machines. I'm not a well-seasoned laser engraving business by any stretch of the imagination. I have a very inquisitive mind, and I do like to look at these things in a little bit more detail and offer that perspective to you. And I guess that's one of the reasons why manufacturers do reach out to creators, because they can get that unbiased opinion, and that's certainly what I've offered today. And as to the original question that I posed at the start of this video, is a 10-watt diode laser still relevant in 2023? And I think today we've proven beyond a reasonable doubt that absolutely a 10-watt laser is still relevant in 2023, and it still will be relevant in 2024. And the main reason for that is price point, for a start. You don't want to be spending thousands of dollars trying to get into a hobby that potentially you may not have any understanding about, and you may not even like it. This machine, or a 10-watt machine, will give you the ability to start to understand the process of laser engraving, and it's fantastic, by the way, and you'll probably find that out very soon. But it gives you the ability to get into a hobby without spending a huge amount of money, and you still have that capability of cutting material, no problem at all. You can definitely engrave material, in some cases better than those higher watt machines, because you do have a smaller dot size. So it is relevant, and I'd take it with a grain of salt from anyone that's saying that a 10-watt diode laser is no longer relevant in the marketplace. So that's my thoughts on the process. Until the next video, be creative and stay grateful. Bye for now.